It's another lovely evening where we're both completely knackered. So when we laid these, we knew we weren't going to get them perfectly level on top, and they are stone, they are natural stone. So we knew we were going to have to do a little bit of levelling with our tile adhesive mix, which is what you can see in here, where we've brought the level up. But there was also going to be points where the stone was too high and we had to lower the level for our track, which is what we've been doing here. So where the level is too high, we have a couple of ways we can do it. We could cut round all the sleepers, sunk the sleepers, anything like that, which in stone is going to be nigh impossible. It also wouldn't really look quite right. So we have to cut out a groove that the track then sits in, which is what we've done here, and then we get that bottom level down to the height we need the track at. And we're doing that with the angle grinder with a masonry blade in, and just grinding it down until we've got the right level that we need. But obviously when you do that, it'll often then leave, because you can cut down the edge obviously to get your lines, you've then got quite sharp edges. So that doesn't look very natural, because, well, nobody's going to cut it with a big saw. So what we're then doing, which is what we've done on this one here, is just going down and just tapping the edge off, the sharp edge, with the chisel, a little bit with the lump hammer as well, and blunting the edge. And obviously over time that'll weather in. Your track bed obviously is going to be ballasted and everything else. So all that'll just blend in and look like it was naturally cut. So you can see we've cut round the pond where needed, so these are all flat, and then we've trimmed a bit more down this side where I've cut it in. And here we haven't had to go as deep, so we probably won't need to chip the edges off here. I might just go over with a lump hammer a little bit. Because we're a shallower cut, how we've ground it is kind of bowled it a little bit at the edges, so it should look natural once it's weathered in.
Well, while Rob's being really noisy, I'll try and give you an update on what else we've been doing, because well, the pond's in and there's quite a lot of stone appeared around the outside, so I'll try and give you show you what we've been doing. So each of these stones has been trimmed to fit and now siliconed onto the edge of the pond to create a nice edge all the way around. We have built a pile of stones, which is actually a wildlife escape ramp crossed with hiding the waterfall pipe, and that did involve me being in the pond, which was an interesting experience. But it's definitely starting to look good now. Rob has also got a different way here. Rather than grinding out the stone to create a passage through it, here he's actually cut the rails into the stone. Now it's not actually sat in right now. There we go. And it will sit a little bit lower down than this, but I think that's going to look quite good.
we've just got to get the levels down a little bit further on that one.
Yes.
Which is why we're starting at this end, matching up with the line where it's coming along.
Yeah, this bit has ended up a little bit too high, which is just easy to do with stone. Because
well, the stone isn't too high. I don't think. It might be slightly, but
the track's
the
too high.
It's too high. I haven't ground enough out yet.
We haven't actually got the waterfall on at the minute, but it'd be a bit noisy for filming if we did that. So.
But yes, it is set up.
It's plumbed in. It works.
It's sat in though. The actual waterfall isn't in its perfect final position.
We've not actually concreted it in yet, or cemented it in.
Because there's a good chance it's probably going to have to come up a little bit yet. Because once the pond is actually full, because we're a few more inches yet off being full.
We are, yes.
Then this bottom ledge is probably going to nearly be on the water line, and we want it to fall off the edge. Not that far, but we want it to be up a little bit. So we might just raise it slightly. But we've obviously sat it in so we could get our stones roughly up to the sides of it. The reason, going back to what Nikki mentioned about the fact that they're siliconed on, so the stones where the track's running are cemented on, but they've got a silicone sticking the stone down to the pond liner itself. So something my dad suggested doing, and it just meant that you're sticking the stone to the pond liner, whereas cement won't stick it very well. It'll space it off and it'll hold it, but it won't clag it onto the pond liner. And because the pond liner could move slightly, that might just help a little bit. So the outside ones are cemented on the wall, the stone wall that comes up, siliconed onto the pond liner, or the fiberglass pond liner, and then pointed up with cement round. These ones currently are just siliconed on because there's no stone wall behind them, so they're just stuck on with a bit of silicone, and then the plan then is to just point up underneath them with a bit of cement once we've got all the landscape and everything around the back of them, because they'll stop moving then.
But
and that'll just finish off the look underneath.
That involves me being in the pond again.
Well, unless we can do it from here. It is quite difficult pointing
yeah.
on the underside of this with water just there.
I mean,
it was fun doing those ones, and the level was lower at that point.
No, I think it's going to just involve me being in the pond again.
Yes, we might lower the water a little bit.
We'll pick a warm day for that.
Which it needs a clean anyway, before we sort of long-term use it. But yeah, that's the state that these all are in.
I do love our wildlife ramp.
Yeah. Yes, obviously it'll have a few more to actually cover the pipe up. It's not finished up this level yet, but we need to get all the landscaping. This obviously needs to be built up and round to integrate it into the tunnel behind.
Yeah, not quite sure how that's going to work yet. That's very
no,
much going to be...
No, but then we weren't sure how these were going to look once they were on, and
I love
they've
these.
gone on quite well.
Yeah,
so.
and I suppose I probably could... I don't know whether I can see it from here, but you've hidden the overflow pipe.
Yep.
Behind some strategic stones.
Yeah, well once we put this one in, and it was flanking that waterfall, it needed something that side as well. And that was where the overflow was, so it actually worked really well just to hide it with a couple of stones in the bottom, and kind of makes this end look like it is a rock sort of formation. We might still yet put some in here depending how high this goes up and things, but what will probably end up happening is there might be some plants or something around anyway, so it'll all blend in over time. But it gives a nice look to this end of the waterfall and of the pond. So yeah, we've just got to get some soil around it now and some planting in, and that will really blend it in.
More soil,
more soil,
plants.
More plants. But
well, I suppose talking of plants,
yes, I mean
they're a little bit dusty now, but
I'll just
oh yes.
give the plants a little bit of dust.
But we have got some more plants in here, of which I will do the usual thing, put the names on screen. Because I have no idea what any of these are. Hopefully the outside two grow tendril style. They spread quite a long way, so we're hoping they'll come over the edge at least a little bit, and the one at the back is just a taller one that's got some tall flowers on. So that should look quite good behind the bridge.
Because again, you have to imagine that the ground level's going to come up to here as well, so they don't have to fall very far, because the soil level will be tucked up here and sort of heading up this way, up to here. Just a note while we're on as to how we're levelling this end, because as we've gone down through the garden, we're actually starting to run out of our screws, or access to our screws, because we're running up against the fence.
Yeah, that's true.
And obviously we've built up, so when you have the laser line at the level of the loop, that end we had multiple points we could put it round. Here I don't really want to be fixing anything to the house side, because we walk past it and would catch ourselves. So what we're using now is we actually have the laser level sat on the track, and we have a very special peg that has a line on it which is the exact height of when it's sat on the track, which means we can place pieces of track in, sit the peg on and confirm we are the right height.
That we are slightly high.
We are slightly higher there apparently still. Yeah, so that needs a bit more taken off it. But yeah, basically we can go around like that and check that we're correct, and obviously we've done it around the edge as well, so it doesn't matter where we're at round. And we're actually levelling off that point there, because we're slightly high, if anything, here at this one, but this is what's joining onto that loop, so that's we can't really lower that anymore without a lot of work, and it's only a few millimetres higher than down there, but that's our datum for this end, this loop.
No, the only way of lowering that would be to grind it out of the block, because there's not actually any of our tile compound
no, on that
track laying bit on there.
But when we talk about it being slightly high, slightly low, we are only talking a few millimetres over a bit of a distance, so
yeah,
we're getting quite precise, but we know that's because if you don't get it as precise as possible, it will always be worse than what you think it is. So if we can get it as good as possible, then when you actually come to run a train round and it finds that one lump that you missed on your laser line, or missed checking, it's not as bad. That's the theory. So yeah, obviously we need to think about bridges on this section here.
Yes.
And the bigger one, lift up one, more complicated one here, which will probably just be a temporary one for
I think it'll end up being a very simple bridge to start with, and it might get more complicated.
Yeah, but they're processing. Let's say that. They're in the works.
They are in the works, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Because otherwise, we'll have all this track down. We can't run it.
Yeah, that one there is. This one's quite important.
This one is. Yes.
Even potentially more important than that one.
Yes.
Because at least that one you could just sort of run. Well, they're both quite important.
Yeah. This one is, but can't get this one in yet because we haven't done this bit yet.
Oh yes, that stone's not actually attached.
That stone's not attached. It needs a bit of trimming and things to fit there, and I'm not confident enough to trim that one. So that is a father one.
Yeah.
Master craftsman of stonemasonry is going to come and trim that, make it fit.
I mean, you did those ones.
Yes, I did some around there.
Okay, the non-important, non-level ones around the pond. You've done all these.
Yeah, and I did some down that end that the track's on.
Yeah.
I did these ones down here. They're done.
Oh yeah.
And again, we've not gone any further that way, but that's fine. That can come later. But yeah, there you go. That's where we're at.
It is starting to look like a proper pond and waterfall, and starting to look almost dangerously close to being finished.
Yep.
It's in reality a long way off being finished, but
no. Never be finished. Anyway, see you later. Good morning all. So, we have a bit of landscaping going on at the minute. We've obviously profiled the bank, as you can see. This is our sort of subsoil base, so which is why we're just off the top here. We've got a little bit of topsoil sat on here, but with more topsoil to come round, which is going to be the job in the next few days. But we've gone down and we've profiled this subsoil sort of base, so we have a bit of an idea of where we're going with the topsoil. The topsoil, it won't be as uniform as this. It'll be up and down and make features with it and things like that. But we wanted to get this in, compacted down, ready for the topsoil to go on. So now we've done this section, you can really start to see how this is going to work with the bank up. We've obviously got a bit more soil to go on the top as well, above the track and bits and pieces. But you get an idea of how it's all going to just blend into the landscape, and all the walling and everything's going to disappear from this side. So with more to do down this bit, we're going to recover some of the moss and hopefully try and grow that on the actual end bank, which is why we left all this, and amazingly it has come back to life. There's a bit more profiling to do up there as well. And then down the pond end we've done the same thing. We've got this bank in of subsoil ready for the topsoil to go on, and we've actually started to fill some of the topsoil in, and as you can see we've started to put plants in as well. So we've got some planted in place around these areas, some ready to go in. These aren't the positions of them, they're just sat in. And one of the other jobs we've got to do is we've got to work out how we're integrating all the waterfall in and do all the bits and pieces around that as well. But we've got a few plants to give us an idea of where we're going. We've got some plants in the pond to give it that natural look. Again, there may well be more going in, but it just starts to give us a bit of an idea of how it's going to look and blend it into the landscape. And again, we've got some planted in here. We've made a bit of a bit around where the filter is that we need to have access, and we've got some ferns and things to go in around, bits and pieces like that. But again, this side's got to be banked up to the waterfall, and we've actually got to finish fitting the waterfall because currently it's just sat in place. It needs to be cemented in really. But we're probably going to have to move it slightly and fit the stones around it. So that's one of the jobs. The other job, back down this end of the garden, so lots of soil to go in and a big job to shift.
It is, we have a lot to move.
Down in the steam up pit,
get at an angle where the sun can, there we go.
I'm trying to stay off the mud as much as possible. We have dug the turf out. So we've done this because we always intended this not to be the finished thing, being turf and mud, and it was always going to struggle to grow anything down in here. Walked on in the shadow of everything, it wasn't going to work. So the plan here is to put a load of gravel in. We've gone with gravel because we've found at other places we've run at, it provides a good place to stand on, but not too hard, as in not flagged or anything like that if you drop something it really will shatter. Gravel just has a little bit of give in it, which might just save whatever you drop. It's not soft and spongy, and it's, you know, it's probably going to chip things or whatever, but it's a sort of middle ground, and it lets water drain away, which in here is going to be important. So we're going to put some matting down, gravel on, and see how far we come down this section. But that's another job for today.
Yeah, we're going to collect all that today, aren't we?
We're going to collect a load of gravel. We've got some soil, we've got some plants obviously to go in.
It's going to be a busy day.
Bit of cementing, a bit of everything all over. Just trying to do the finishing bits and pieces on things to then get the landscaping done.
Making the most of sunshine rather than torrential rain we had yesterday.
Yes, because
we got very
it's
wet
been
yesterday.
Wet a number of weeks now, which has slowed us up. And that's why we didn't film any of the subsoil going in, is because it
kept raining on us.
Yeah, you do a bit, it would rain, you do a bit, it would rain. So that's why, and to be honest, it didn't take us actually that long just to trim all that off and make it look nice. So yeah, let's get to work and enjoy the sunshine. It's another lovely evening where we're both completely knackered. But we have got quite a lot done. As you can see, we have gravel in the steam up area. So we've picked it up from somebody second hand, as a lot of our stuff is, because we're cheapskates. And then we've put it round. We might go a bit further, there is a little bit more of it. But that's a bit for now, and it'll stop this area being boggy. The grass was never going to grow down here anyway, which we knew.
It looks actually really nice as well.
It does, yeah.
Now we've given it a bit of a rinse and it looks lovely.
Compacting down and things, but yeah, that's in there. So that was this morning's job. The rest of the day has been mainly down that end of the garden. So let's go down there and see what there is. We have a landscape. This has taken quite a lot of time, a lot of deliberation. We probably could have filmed it, but you would have had to watch a good number of hours of
yeah.
Stone in, stone out. Stone in again, possibly different angle. Stone out, no, different stone. And then throw that one away and go back to the original.
That did happen, yeah.
Yeah. But we've come up with this, which we sort of knew how we wanted to do it was kind of stagger the stones up with a bit of planting in each side, because you've got to get your ground level up, and just it was never going to work just going straight up, because it would all come down, especially onto where the track is. So we've gone for this approach. We've tried to then sort of link in bits like these with where it rises up, same with the other side, so that it sort of looks a natural base. The top level isn't obviously finished, so we've still got to do a bit with the lid and a bit of facing on here, but that means we can plant up in front of here and just a little bit of hiding to do at the top. The waterfall is now in, cemented, done with, connected up, everything. So that's its final position. This deliberation that we've had for months on end of where the pond's going, the waterfall's going, and everything else is now set in stone for the rest of its life.
Quite literally.
Well, I should, yeah, hope so anyway. Yeah, we've got more stones to the other side. Come around the back and show you. So here again, we've tiered it up, and both sides you'll see we've stood stones up at the back to make a sort of cutting that they're coming, the loco's coming through. Bit of cementing on there. Yes, I've caught the sleepers, but they'll clean off. And all this track actually needs to come up anyway, because we've got to sort a bit of the levelling out on this section here, especially a little bit around there, so it's not actually in its exact height and things like that. So we'll take it up, clean it, put it back down again. But we wanted to get these in because we had a bit of extra cementing to do before we can get the tile adhesive mix on. So yeah, we'll find it there. We might put a little bit of a feature down this side, just to take in that track edge, just to bring it out a little bit more. So a little bit more walling like we've done over there. And yeah, that's it. I mean, it's taken us a long time because you
it doesn't look like much for how long
fiddle
it's
about,
taken.
fiddle about trying to get things to all match together, but
because this is probably the best part of 6 hours today.
oh, there's more than that.
No, not if you take the gravel out.
Yeah,
Just this bit alone is probably 6 hours.
yeah. But
It
yeah.
feels like it. My body tells me it's about 6 hours.
Obviously all the pipe and everything's now hidden. That's all gone. That's under there. We've added a little bit more silicone, because we talked about with silicone these stones on. We've silicone the pipe round as well, so that it's protected from any stones rubbing and things like that. Bit of silicone seal around it just to try and stop any vibrations, rubbing, bits and pieces. We've got some plants sort of sat in. Again, they might move positions and things, but we're sort of getting a feel for it. And then we've also got to obviously plant this up, which we've got some plants dotted around. We're going to need some more, but the next step is just to sort of place them in, see if we like it, and it's a bit like the stones. Move it back, rotate it. I'm sure you all know. But yeah, I'd say that was a pretty good day's work. And this is now looking natural, less building site, other than around the lower walls.
We don't look at that.
No. So there you go. One waterfall and pond and railway loop. That squeak's not the barrow, it's me. It's really taking its toll, this. But we have a bank. So we've put some soil in, and we have a bit of a track that we'll come on to later, but I wanted a bit of a roadway up down here. So there's a bit more soil probably to go in at this end at some point, and obviously we've got to sort out the dam section, bits like that. But if you walk along the bank, this section will have moss on it. This moss. As soon as it wants to grow, this is all going to be put on this bank soon.
I mean, it was there already, to be fair.
Yes, I have
Probably
just taken it out.
that.
That was all the moss that was on the ground. I've cleaned it up a bit, lifted it into the barrow, put the soil in so we can profile it, put the moss back on. So that's the theory in that bit. And then as you work down the bank, there's some strategic trees that have just been used as markers currently, because we've talked about this being a hillside, and it being in the dales it would be split up into fields. So the idea is that we're going to have fields across it. There will be dry stone walls at some point in the future when I get around to making them, but we need to think about that when we're planting it. So we've put these in as our sort of field boundary markers. So we've got that one that way, moss. This one this way, something.
Lawn chamomile.
Lawn chamomile. From here, this way you'll see we have tiny little plants in. These are in there, and they are something mint.
Corsican mint.
Corsican mint. Thank you, plant expert behind the camera. And then as we go down further, and as you can see we put more soil on, it's all profiled. We have more lawn chamomile at this end. So these are little plants we've put in, and that we've got, because obviously to cover it all in like a turf it's going to take a long time and very expensive. So we're going to do this sort of system and hopefully grow out. Though. We did consider it, but it would just be too much. So we're just going to keep these watered and hopefully they'll grow. And as you can see, we've got it all profiled into the corner here with our end wall. We still need to do the top side. I have done a little bit of work at the far end, but that still needs some soil putting in. The trees need deciding exactly where they're going once they've stopped being field markers. and yeah, and a bit more to do at the top, but it's going green. It's becoming more of the idea that we said of it being a hillside and blending in. The blocks are disappearing, the bricks are disappearing. Less of the heavy engineering is on display, and it's more becoming a garden railway. But we've not just been doing this bit. So at this pond end, again we put some soil in, although not all of it at this point. But we put some soil in so we could start putting some stones in place, making bits of cuttings, because we wanted to have something at both sides of the line to come through. So that's what we've done. Those ones are cemented in, this one's just sat in, no real reason. other than those linking in with the bridge, so we made those a bit more permanent. So yes, we put the soil in. We've also thought about how we're going to get to access some of these areas, because once the bank's in, it's quite difficult to get. On the other bank you can access it from behind, here you can't. So that's why we've got this stone in place, which means you can walk up and get to a tunnel. And as we're on about tunnel has its roof on. So we've seen these in a couple of videos, but I've now cut them. They're just stone flags, and they actually came with the pond, so we reused them. They've been cut, put on, and then some edging's been put around. These stones that are sat here are sort of examples of what we're going to sort of cover the top with, just so that it's not just a stone flag. It will have a bit of something on, and obviously once we've planted up in front here you won't really see much of it. There will be tunnel mouths going on, but not yet. They'll appear some point in the future, but that is not just going to be left like that. There's also a bit of skidding to do around this corner as well, but yeah, that's where we're at with that bit. You'll also see that although we had some track down a bit ago, we've lifted this piece and relayed it because we needed it a little bit higher. But now we've done that, we've got the right levels, which meant we've been able to link in the bridge. So the bridge is now in place, linked in with the line. This end, haven't finished it yet, hence we've got the hammer buff stop in place, which is well-known way of stopping a loco, obviously. And you'll also spot just behind it another one. And that can only mean one thing, with a train out especially, is that yes, we do now actually have a loop of track all the way around the pond. But in able to do that, we've had to put a bridge in place. So, track's obviously laid down the stone tops here, and you've seen before how we've trimmed it out so we get this level around here. But that gets you to a new bridge. So let's have a closer look at this bridge. So we have this brand new bridge in place, and we're actually going to do a separate video on how we built this bridge. It's really not a how-to or a best way of building a bridge, as I've found out as I went along, but it's a separate video, so we'll link to it when it's up, or if it's up already, I'm not quite sure, somewhere around over there I've been told, possibly down there, but probably over there. So you can go have a look at that, and that will tell you a lot more information about it. But basically we needed to get across this bit of the pond, and to do that, because we're going to cross the water, somebody mentioned to me that they'd also put a bridge across the water with loco running across it, and that dropped oil and other things into the water, caused a load of problems. So their advice was, don't run across the water, which I'd already planned to, and I've pretty much already built it like that. So we had to stick with that plan, but that made me think, well, the trick is don't let it go in the water. So that's why this bridge has a solid bottom on it. The plan is that if anything gets dropped, this will be ballasted anyway, so it'll drop, it can't go through the bridge because it's onto an acrylic sheet in the bottom. It'll soak into the ballast, and then the sun will burn it off over time, or it'll disappear. But it's not just going to drop straight into the pond, straight through the bridge. So that's why it's got a solid bottom. The sides are not finished. We've got some prototype pieces here, but again we'll talk about those in the video, and you'll see them later on when we've actually got the finished article in. But we're using our 3D printing methods to skin the bridge effectively to give it a really nice look without having to put all the effort into building it out of metal like that. But that's got us across this corner of the pond, which then means we're able to go down this way. We skim across one of the higher stones here, and what I've been able to do is lay the rails into the stone. So I've actually cut with the angle grinder with a masonry blade in it, which is how I've trimmed all these out. Slots in, and got the grooves for the flange as well, so it all runs across there. I have just had to take a little bit off the top of the stone because it was just catching a few things, and it may have to have some more off over time, but hopefully not, because it looks a really nice feature. Whether it's realistic, not quite sure, but I think it's really nice. So I've put it in, and it would have to be a big cut if I didn't. Other than that, it's basically tracked all the way around. So when I've been laying this, I've just had to be really careful, because obviously you're drilling next to the face of the wall, and like with the bricks, you have a chance of, when you're drilling here, this stone falling off. So I've been careful. I've not done it with the big SDS, although I had to do around some of the other ones because the stones were just so hard. I've tended to use a hammer drill, steady away, go up in size, put them in. Still using red plugs. I did try yellow, didn't really work, so red, still the best for this job anyway. And yeah, and that's got the track down. It might want some more screws in places, but we'll run it a bit first, and then I can decide where they're needed. And there's a bit more filling and packing and things still at this end, because we're still a bit low there, but it's got it runnable, which means we can run a train around this bit anyway. Let's do that.
Well, while Rob's being really noisy,
Took me to do it.
noisy,